What do I spend most of my time helping my coaching clients with?
Don't you want to look good naked?
So most of the clients that come to me are women, and they're looking to feel better overall and look good. So there's nothing wrong with looking good. I personally think that when you look your best, you feel your best, you are your most confident self. And so one of the things that I really help my clients do is just that, feel their most confident, badass self through implementing nutrition and exercise protocols that work for them and really help them to get to the result that they're wanting. So whether that's to lose body fat or build muscle or a combination of both, I think it's super important that people understand that, it's okay to want to have a fat loss goal. It's okay to want to look your best, have your best physique, look toned, or whatever you want to call it. It's okay to have those goals. And I think sometimes in our society these days, people are kind of looked at like, oh, if you track your food or, if you're looking to implement some type of diet protocol that you have an eating disorder or something like that. And, maybe that's the case for some people, but I don't think that everybody should be put into that camp because, there's nothing wrong with wanting to look good. Because again, when you look good, you feel good, you do better, you bring your best self to everything that you're doing, whether it's with your family, whether it's at work, at your job. So again, it's kind of building that confidence and actually thinking about it from the outside in. So when you feel good, you do good, and you are your best version of yourself. So for me, I kind of grew up in a pretty healthy household. So we never had soda in the house. We never had, sugar and lots of stuff like that. But we did have a lot of cereal and pasta and Gatorade and things that were quote unquote healthy or heart healthy that, my parents didn't know better, right? So I struggled a little bit with weight my entire childhood. I went through a lot of yo-yo dieting, especially in high school and college. So that's what really kind of got me involved with nutrition and focused on that when I got into college is I didn't want to go through that yo-yo diet anymore. I wanted to really find a way that was sustainable for me. And this is something that I found changes over time. So at a period of my life, whether it was in college or in grad school, I found methods of, dieting or whatever you want to call it that was sustainable for me at that time. But over the years, I've really learned that it does come back to the individual and what works for you. And as you evolve over time and as you learn more and as you have more goals, things can change and they will change. So I had one of my most prominent transformation back in 2018, I think it was. I got injured when I was doing CrossFit and it kind of took me out of my feeling of, normalcy, right? I wasn't able to work out anymore. I was in this place where I kind of got a little bit depressed and I was also stressed with things that I was doing from a work perspective and I put on a little bit more weight than I wanted to and I came to this point where I was like just not feeling confident in myself. I was doing all the things that, I thought I should be doing. I was, a nutritionist myself, so I was like, well, why can't I, lose the weight? I know what I'm supposed to do. So just do it, right? There's more of a mental and a psychological component to that. So once I kind of put my ego aside and I was like, all right, I need to ask for outside help. I need someone from the outside looking in who can really help me and guide me along the way so I can kind of get out of my own head and also have an accountability factor. So that was something that I missed for a long time, was just having that outside accountability that kept me coming back every single week and having to check in with not only my coach, but myself every single week. So I think that's something that a lot of people miss when they're trying to transform their body, is having that accountability, not just with someone else, but also with yourself, and really, making sure that you're checking in with yourself, making sure that you're, on track with the goals that you've set for yourself. So when I hired my own coach is when I found that's when my greatest transformation happened. I started focusing more on the things that were more important, right? I stopped looking at like the flashy things, the types of diet I was following, the, high intensity interval training. So I was doing lots of CrossFit, like I said, but I got burnt out, so I wasn't able to do that. So I was in kind of this weird place. So when I hired my coach, my first coach, I got back into training, but I took a different route. So I focused more so on hypertrophy style training or bodybuilding style training. And I started to just focus more on the basics. So started tracking my food, started being accurate with tracking my food, started paying attention to how much protein I was eating, started lifting weights to build muscle versus lifting weights to burn calories, which was a huge change. And I lost 20 pounds. I did a photo shoot and I felt the best that I ever did and the most confident that I ever did. And so that was probably my first transformation where I really had the most success by letting someone else kind of be that outside set of eyes looking in and help me to hold myself accountable and help me to get to that goal. So ever since then, however many years later that is, I've had a coach since then. I've switched different coaches so that I can learn myself how to be a better coach. I think that's super important. And it's helped me to go through different goals, right? I've pushed myself into gaining 15 pounds back going into a building phase to really focus on building muscle, and then to lose that 15 pounds again and unveil that new muscle that I built during that period of time, and trusting that process, trusting my coach through that process, realizing that it is a long-term process when it comes to body composition and when it comes to, really becoming your most confident self. And I think once you go through that once, you realize like, oh wow, I did that shit. I can do whatever I want. I can do that again. I can, push myself to other limits. And so that's what I do with my clients. I encourage them to really see, why are they doing what they're doing? What is their goal? And even if that is a body composition goal, asking them to dig a little bit deeper, right? Really finding what their underlying why is. Because it's not like, oh, I want to lose that 10 pounds. Yeah, that might be the superficial goal. But maybe the goal is that you want to lose that 10 pounds so that you can be healthy for your kids and play with your kids, and not get winded when you're out in the backyard. Or you want to just lose that extra 10 pounds because you want to feel your most confident self, right? Those are real things. So with my personal transformation, that's really what happened. I just built so much confidence and I felt so much better about myself and what I was bringing to the table every single day in terms of bringing to the table, how I was, bringing my best self to my clients, to my family, to my friends, right? That is a huge piece of it. And I think when you feel your best, you do your best, you perform your best, you're able to give your best self to everybody else around you. And that requires putting in the work, but also being a little selfish. Because if you're not selfish with what you want to focus on and what you want to do for yourself, you're not going to be bringing your best self to your family, to your friends, to your job. So you need to focus on that first and get a little selfish, right? Put yourself first so that you can bring your best self and bring your full cup to everybody else. It's that analogy to put your own mask on before the person next to you. Same concept applies here. Put yourself first so that you can bring your best self to everybody else. Women, we believe